Hey guys, thank you for the Part 10 for Veeam Certified Engineer VMC training course and exam. Actually, in this video, we're going to talk about a option we never talked about before, um, which is actually the Veeam zip. Actually, what is Veeam zip basically? Why would you need that option? Veeam zip is an option. You don't have to download any of the software. It is built in. Um, and let's say if you have a machine and you wanted to decommission it. As you know, by default setting, that recovery point for that machine will stay forever. But if you select that option during the backup, then by default is as soon as you check is 14 days. Meaning if you enable it and after 14 days after removal, the VM from your the backup infrastructure, um, that machine, that the recovery points will be deleted unless you change that option. Again, by default it's not checked. So if you remove a machine, your recovery point is going to stay as long as you want, but it's not going to be like one complete backup. It's going to be like your either a full synthetic backup or your incremental backup. So it's going to have a number of recovery points, depending upon your selection in the beginning. So and if you check that option, and then it will like whatever number of days you choose, which is 14 by default, then those recovery points will be deleted automatically. So there is an option, where you can create a Veeam zip file. So what Veeam zip file does is like before you decommission it, you go and create a WinZip file. Basically, you can do it. You can quickly back up that file. Either the backup is running or is powered off. You can use a Veeam zip and create a file, and this is just for like a the ad hoc backup for VM, or um, just as a safety net. And the beauty is you can choose the location wherever you want to save it to. It doesn't have to be to your backup repository. It could, but you can actually point to anywhere you want to, and that backup will stay forever until you manually delete that machine. So that's the idea behind it. And to do that, actually, it is a pretty simple operation. You go to your the Veeam backup and replication console, and if you go to a virtual machines, um, click your wherever the machines are, and you can pick any machine. For example, I'm going to take the machine which I never used before, which is I can pick any machine. Um, you know, I have the public key infrastructure root server. So if I right click on this one, let's say I want to delete this one, but before I delete this thing, I'm going to right click on it, and it's going to give me this option is Veeam zip to C backup, Veeam zip, and quick backup. So we don't care about quick backup because we're talking about Veeam zip. So if I click on Veeam zip, it's going to go straight to a C, um, the backup directory, and no question asked. It did not ask you anything, and by default it started, and it's like one click, and right here you can see it is a active full, meaning a active full backup, and it is doing the backup. And it says basically all VMs have been queued for processing. So when you click OK and then you go to your Veeam and Replication tab, and under running you will see that backup is being run, and then again you can see your um, progress right here. While it's doing the backup is, so let's go back to our virtual machine again. If I pick any other machine, let's say I pick one of this machine, and instead of clicking on Veeam zip to a to see backup, which does not give you any option to set any parameters. If I click on Veeam zip, so the difference is between the two. One doesn't give you any option. The second one gives you a like, let's say I click here, they give you a lot more option right here. It will give you the option for which backup repository you want to back up to, and you want to save it to a local or shared folder, if you want to do it to a remote place somewhere. If I go under network, it's just thinking. What I can do it actually, I can choose a remote location. Let me find the remote location. Okay, we're gonna try actually backing up to one of the repository just for testing. I can use the share folder. The option is there, and here actually it gives you a lot more options. So by default, is select to never, and it can say, hey, delete it tonight. Um, or tomorrow night, 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. So what are we setting up here is basically the expression date. And expression date means we have a option from never to in 1 year. So depending upon the requirement, we can select our range. So this could be a potential the exam question, and also this is a good knowledge to have when you are backing up VM using Veeam zip. This has nothing to do with any other backup in progress, or it has nothing to do with any previous backups. So this is going to be a one-time active full backup, right before um, you click on that machine, and if you want to delete it. So I'm going to choose like never, for example, or I can choose it like, and I'll leave it as never. And right here it says, hey, enable backup encryption. And again, for encryption, you have to set the password. And here is the very important part: is do not lose your password. Veeam support cannot recover lost passwords or retrieve your data from encrypted backup file. So it is really important, if you wanted to save a machine with the with the encryption enabled. You better have some kind of procedure to save the passwords somewhere, because if somebody creates this thing, with the password and the person is no longer in the company or can't remember, that will be um, backup will be lost, or the data will be lost. So right here, actually, you can create a hint, you know. Uh, okay, I I clicked on it, and anyway, um, instead of clicking on the hint, I just enter it. So anyway, you can add the hint which will remind you of your password. And this password does not have to be your regular network password. This could be a separate, standard password. You guys are using it. And under here it says loss prevention enabled. So you can enable the loss prevention right here. You can give the hint. Actually, this is the same screen we were there. So, encryption password. The dialog is used to manage and update your encryption password. These passwords are used to protect actual encryption key, which is generated randomly each time the backup job is run. Each time the job is run and is stored in the backup file. Security best practices recommend that you update your password periodically. This is just a warning. And right here is the same thing. You can select none, dedupe friendly, optimal, high, and extreme. We went through this thing in our previous videos. And this one is the guest processing. You can actually, by default, is enabled. You can disable it. So the difference is the guest processing is, if you disable guest processing, perform crash consistent backup, meaning um, is like somebody pulled the plug. Your machine crashed. When your machine crashed and you boot it up, whatever, like a disk check or some other checks, it runs. That's what is going to happen if you disable the guest questions. So basically, we're going to leave it on, and we're not going to run this thing because we're already running a Veeam backup. So the reason I'm going through this exercise is just to show you what two options do you have. Again, the first, I'm going to cancel this one because we already went through this thing. The first option is you click, you take the first, the top line, Veeam to C backup, and you're done. No question asked. And your backup gonna stay forever. The second one is when you click OK, when you click on this one, then you have a several decision to make. So that's it. I mean, there's nothing more into um, the Veeam backup option. If you go under, let's see here, under backup replication, I'm not sure if this job going to be successful or not because I am actually running out of space. See right here, this machine load source, and they're giving it some statistics. Network 55, target proxy 67, primary bottleneck source is the same thing. Right here is basically is done. So if you are being quizzed for the Veeam zip, so now you know the two options. And also if I go under Veeam disk, here's the option to delete it. If you want to delete the backup, you can delete the backup. The thing is, I want to show you right here. The reason I'm getting these the error messages, if I click on any error message, you can see, for example, this job, the synthetic full backup creation failed. This was another job when we were backing up the Exchange, AD, and SQL Server, and 3 devices in one job. It says there is not enough space on the disk. So that is the reason, because our test machine, our test repository is 100 gig, and we were trying to back up multiple devices, and those were successful. But what happened is a synthetic backup. We're going to talk about synthetic backup a little, in the next video or so. Basically, what synthetic backup does is like whatever recovery points you have, it will inject the your existing incremental to create a synthetic full backup. So while we on this topic where we talked about the Veeam zip and the backup thing, so let's talk about a little bit more about the active backup and synthetic backup. So actually, I'm going to refer to the Veeam Help Center document to better understand or describe actually what is the difference, because in from exams perspective, from knowledge perspective, if you know what the differences are between the two, it will help you a lot to save your the storage I mean, like storage actually basically like on a repository, and it will also help you understand uh, why you need a synthetic backup. Basically, why not create an active backup? We know if we create an active backup, it has to copy all of the data from the machine to the repository again. So it's creating like a taxing on your infrastructure when you create a full backup. Full backup, you can create a manual full backup, or you can create a full backup on demand. um, so let's see here. So I'm going to take you to this page right here, um, because this is the latest for Veeam 9.5 at the time. So let's talk about what is the active backup is. So active backup is right here. Um, in some cases, you need to regularly create a full backup, because this is the requirement. You create a full backup. That's the first time you do it. Create a full backup, and then it creates an incremental backup. And then in companies, there's a policy like after a week, or after 15 days, or after a month, they want to create a brand new backup again from the scratch. So for example, here's saying the same thing. Your corporate policy backup may require you to create a full backup on weekend and run incremental backup on workdays. To let you confirm these requirements, Veeam Backup and Replication let you create a full backups. There is nothing to go into detail, right? The active full backup produce a full backup of a VM just as you run the backup for the first time. That's what I just described before. Veeam Backup Replication retrieve data for the whole VM from the source. That's in the active one we're talking about. And then it compresses it and deduplicates it and stores it in the full backup file, which is VBK. And guys, now I want you to start paying attention on the extension. We know we talked about the BCO extension, which was a backup configuration. So the second extension we're talking about is a VBK. Basically, you can remember is a Veeam backup. That's basically the full backup. Um, the active full backup resets the backup chain. Whenever you create a full backup, your chain is got reset, and it's going to start from again. So from Saturday, did the full backup, and then again Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it's going to keep going. All incremental backup files use the latest active full backup file as a new starting point. The previously used full backup file remains on disk until it is automatically deleted according to the retention policies. So you have the retention policies like, hey, keep the backup data for 30 days or 60 days or 7 days. So the reason I am going on with this thing in detail, because there are a lot of questions um, um, on this subject, and this subject is extremely important, because this will determine the recovery points how many recovery points you're going to have it, and how those recovery points will affect your the repositories, like how big the repository you need it or how small do you need it. I mean, the size you have to determine. Um, so let's see here. So you can create a full active. You can yeah, you can create an active full backup manually or schedule backup to create a full backup periodically. This is the settings actually when you are manually. You can create a manual. It doesn't matter. There's no setting bar. Just right click on it and create it. And or when you schedule it, when you're creating a backup job, you can actually schedule it. In here, right here, this is the setting actually when you are creating a job, the backup job. So under backup, you have an incremental backup, and right here under the here you have a create a active full backup periodically, and right here you have a create a synthetic backup periodically. So you have actually two options. I know the first job I set it up in Veeam, I actually chose both options. So what it was doing, it was creating a synthetic backup. In addition to that, it was creating a full backup. So I did not know at that time, so that was, excuse me, that was not the right approach, because um, it was kind of redundant, and you will see why it was redundant. So this is basically just a simple active backup. There is nothing into it. Is plain simple. When you're creating a backup again, just check this box, and you will get a full backup depending upon your days. And this option is the advanced setting right here. When you click on this one, creating a job, it will this screen will pop up. And again, you can see my previous videos. We discussed this thing in detail. And the synthetic backup actually. Um, Here I'm going to show you again. Should I show you? Right here, my backup was failed because of the synthetic backup failed because of the there was not enough space, right? So let me go back to my. Where did my screen go? Okay, right here, guys. I apologize. So, what is synthetic backup? So, as you can see, it says in some situation, running active full backup periodically may not be an option because it's takes some toll on your infrastructure. Active backups are resource intensive and consume considerable amount of network bandwidth. As an alternative, you can create a synthetic full backup. In terms of data, this is they're going to be quiz you in the exam on this line actually. They're going to ask you what's the difference between the two, So in terms of data, the synthetic full backup is identical to a regular full backup. So they are, the data wise, they are exactly the same. Either you do a active backup straight from the source, or you do a synthetic backup from a existing recovery point. Synthetic full backup produce a VBK file that contain data of the whole VM. The difference between active and synthetic full backup lies in the way how VM data is retrieved. So the data is same, the extension is different. So hey guys, I just misspoke actually. The extension is the same, either for synthetic backup and a regular backup. So in terms of data, synthetic full backup is identical to the regular full backup. Synthetic full backup produce a VBK file that contains data of the whole VM. And when you perform active full backup, Veeam backup and replication retrieves VM data from the source volume where VM resides, compresses it and deduplicates it, and writes to the VBK file on a backup repository. So in active backup, we know it gets from the source. When you perform a synthetic full backup, Veeam backup and replication does not retrieve VM data from the source volume. Instead, it synthesizes a full backup from data you already have on the backup repository. Veeam backup and replication access the previous full backup file and a chain of subsequent incremental backups on the backup repository, consolidate VM data and these files, consolidate from these files and write consolidated data into the new backup file. As a result, the created synthetic full backup file contains the same data as you would have if you created an active full backup. So if we go back to our previous example right here in the full active full backup, um, so right here you see this one, when we did the backup, for example, in a active full backup, it created the full backup file, and then you will see incremental, right? So the day comes here on Saturday and it created a active full backup. So instead of active full backup, we can create a synthetic full backup. What it would do, it would take this file and all these changes and merge it to this one and create another VBK file. So that newer VBK file will have all the data in it, right? So this way, like so it created a full backup for on Saturday, but the data it got it from the existing data. So that's the basic difference. Like, you don't have to go out and get another full backup from the from the machine. Um, So in that case, you have to check create synthetic full backup. So like I was giving the example, in my case, I was creating a synthetic full backup and a active full backup, which is kind of, in my opinion, that was stupid, because it was creating a synthetic full backup depending upon the days I chose, or the time I chose, and then it will like creating another full backup. So that was kind of redundant. So either you can create a synthetic full backup, which is the same thing, or you can create an active full backup. Um, so that is the only difference between synthetic backup and active full backup. And now you can see how synthetic full backup works. So right here, the one we talked about it. Um, come on, a little bit acting up. See, it's a little bit jumpy sometimes. So so we're here. So basically the same thing. The how synthetic full backup works. You have a full backup, you have a incremental backups, and then new incremental backup is created right here on Friday. And then at the end of the backup session, the Veeam data mover on the backup repository built a new synthetic backup using backup files that are already available in the backup chain, including newly created incremental backup file. So right, see, is like from Sunday your full backup, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, get a new incremental backup, and boom, it created a full synthetic backup. And what happened is, when the synthetic full backup is created, the Veeam data mover on the backup repository delete the incremental backup file created at the beginning of the job session. As a result, you have a backup chain that consists of a full backup file. So here, what happened is, this thing is a little tricky to understand, but it's not that difficult. So when it created a full synthetic file, you got a full backup. It deleted the last incremental backup file, and every next job session create a new incremental restore point, is starting from the synthetic full backup until the day which synthetic full backup is scheduled. On that day, Veeam backup replication create a new synthetic full backup. So, and this cycle continue. Hey, while we are on this subject for a incremental backup, synthetic backup, full backup, I want to talk about one more thing actually. Before I do that, I want to show you right here when we are configuring a backup job. Um, I'm just editing one. On the advanced settings, right here, you have a incremental backup. So increments are saved into the new file dependent on previous file and the chain best of backup target and poor IO performance. Best for backup target with poor random IO performance. So that's why you need an incremental backup, meaning you just create a little bit, increment whatever the changes are done. And when we say a create synthetic full backup, we know what the synthetic backup, will be done. And we also have an option for a so we have this option right here. It says the transform previous backup chain into rollbacks, meaning convert previous incremental backups change into rollbacks for the newly created full backup files. So I just want you to remember this thing. So you have this option here too, where you transform previous backup chain into rollbacks. So that's one option. I mean, one topic, and the second one is the reverse incremental. In reverse incremental, what it does, increments are injected into the full backup file, so that the latest backup file is always a full backup for the most recent VM state. So the difference between incremental and reverse incremental, in incremental you have a full backup, and then you have a incremental backup up to you can have a forever incremental point if you want to. And what is the reverse? So if you have a machine and you need to retrieve it, and it has a, let's say, 20 incremental points, and then if you need to retrieve this machine, so you have to retrieve the data, and then 20 incremental points to get to the latest state. So it's going to take some time. So if you are in a critical situation, hey, I need to retrieve this file from this 20, backup, full backup plus 20 incremental backup, it's going to take some time. Whatever time could be, maybe it's going to take 2 minutes, it's going to take 10 minutes. But if you want to make that process faster, in that case, we choose a reverse incremental. So what reverse incremental does, it creates a full backup, and then on the next day, whatever incremental changes are done, it will be injected into the full backup. So so you're going to see a reverse incrementals, and then the latest file will always be the latest full backup. So if you need to retrieve it, there's no processing needs to be done. You can just click on it and you retrieve it from the latest one. The only thing is, yeah, if you want to retrieve it for, like, hey, I want to retrieve this file for a 2 days older version, then it's going to take same processing power, in my opinion, as it would take in a incremental. So let's go back. As long as you understand this thing, let's go back to our the other topic we're talking about right here. Right here, you have the backup chain transform. That is the option I'm talking about right here. This one. So this option is being discussed here. So what backup chain transform, by the way? So if you select to create a synthetic full backup, you can additionally choose to transform previous forward incremental backup chain into reverse incremental backup chain. So when you say, hey, I wanna create a synthetic backup, then you have, it's same thing. You're gonna have a previously created incremental backups. Then you can create that into a reverse incremental backup chain. Um, so what they're saying it is like the transform option lets you reduce the amount of space required to store backups. How it does it is like um, the Veeam backup replication will transform the latest backup chain consisting of the backup and VIB file into reverse incremental files. That's what we know. And it's going to create a VRB, so reverse backup files, VRB file right here, reverse incremental backup file. Um, So now they want to give us the example right here. You can see it like so. These are the reverse incremental backups, VRB. Um, so you can remember it like Veeam reverse backup files. So let's see if we can understand this thing. For example, you have configured full backup job to perform daily forward incremental backup and schedule synthetic backup on Thursday. So far, pretty simple, right? Hey, I want to create a backup and I want to create a, like incremental backup, and I check the box to create a synthetic backup. So the way it's going to start, you're going to have a full backup, then you're going to have an incremental backup, and at the end of the chain, you're going to have a synthetic full backup. And if you check that option to transform chain into a reverse incremental backup chain, the backup start on Sunday. In this case, Veeam replication will perform backup in the following way. On Sunday, Veeam backup and replication will create a full backup file. Monday through Wednesday, Veeam backup and replication will create incremental backup file and then add them to a backup chain. On Thursday, Veeam backup and replication will first create a synthetic backup file in a regular way. After that, Veeam backup and replication will perform the incremental backup chain into reverse incremental backup chain. As a result, you have a full backup created on Thursday and sets of reverse incremental Sunday through Wednesday. When you run the backup next time, Veeam backup and replication will add a will add a new incremental backup file to the backup chain. The synthetic backup will be used as a starting point. I know this thing is a little complicated. Not a little complicated, but until you do it by yourself, you will not have a better idea. But we can try our best. The reason we need to understand this thing, it will help you to organize your backup repositories, and it will definitely help you to pass the Veeam test. Again, his note is like the Veeam backup and replication always transforms only the latest incremental chain. For example, you have a backup chain that consists of one full backup file and set of incremental files. This is the standard statement. In the middle of the chain, you create an active full backup, just manually, for example. When Veeam and backup replication runs the transform operation, Veeam and backup replication transform the most recent active full backup. So this is the key here. The most recent active full backup. So whatever was created, because you created the active full backup in the middle, so whatever was created before, that's no longer valid. Backup file plus incremental file that follow it. All backup files that precede the active full backup file stay intact. So let's try this thing. So that's what they're talking about right here. Again, I'm going to try to understand. I'm going to try to explain. You selected a backup, and then it's going to create an incremental backup, and then it's going to create a synthetic backup, and then it's going to transform the previous backup chain into rollbacks, converts previous incremental backup chain into rollbacks for the newly created the backup file. So so the newly, for the rollbacks, let's say you have the new full backup and you need to roll back to a previous day. So that's where those the incremental backup chain into the rollbacks will kick in. The reverse incremental backup files will help you go to the previous day. Um, I'm sure we're gonna actually discuss this thing a lot in a upcoming videos, and we actually gonna see, like the practical. Actually, um, uh, uh, we're gonna see um, um, the live demonstration of this thing in a future videos. So this is just a theory, so at least it will give you a something to think about it. Hey, we have a active full backup, we have a synthetic full backup, and those are, as far as data is concerned, they are 100% identical. The only difference is the active backup is backed straight from the source. Synthetic backup is backed up or created. The synthetic full backup is created using a already copied incremental points. So basically, they are merging it and creating a new starting point with the full backup. We also touched base with the reverse incremental backup, meaning reversing incremental backup is you always have access to the latest up to date full backup file, and all these um, the appliances, the backup appliances from different vendors. That's basically they do it too. So when you are backing up your data to these appliances, and that's what they do, they will always create the latest one is a full synthetic, a full increment, a full backup, a reverse backup. So whenever you look into the chain, the top one gonna be the full backup, and they are not taking the full backup every day. But the every day you will see after the incremental backup is done, you will see your chain is always on. The top one is always full backup. So that's what basically they use. Um, these techniques. Let's see. This option, the reverse incremental. Uh, so if you need to restore it, you have the full backup of the most recent VM state. You know. Um, so guys, I'm gonna end this video right here because it's almost 40 minutes, and I'm gonna create more videos, and I will definitely include more topics. The one we are just kind of skipping it, not skipping it, actually we're not going into the detail. Hey, as always, if you like my videos, please subscribe to the channel, and thank you for your time, and see you in the next video.